I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Believe in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Jerraud Powers. And Jerraud, we've had a bye week, 2 weeks, before their next game. Is that enough time for the Colts to get healthy?
Depending on what you're dealing with, but overall, generally, yeah, you got a lot of people that had, or that have a bunch of nicks, bruises, some things that's probably been bothering them for weeks. So that extra time always helps for sure.
Yeah, and you figure, I know a lot of players. Do players would they rather have it like week 8, week 9, or this late in the season for a playoff push?
I think most players would like to have it like right at the middle. Sometimes when you have it late, it knocks off your routine, make you relax a little bit when you're at a time to where it's crunch time and it's a certain type of level of urgency that you need. I remember, I want to say 2015, we ended up in Arizona being like the number 1 seed. I think we finished 13-3 or whatnot, but our bye week was like week 3, week 4. So we had to run off like 12 straight games, and that stuff gets tough, man. I mean, it gets tough. Those Wednesday practices, Thursday practices, when it's late in the season and you haven't had a break in so long. So most guys probably would say they would like it right at the halfway mark.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good to know. But at this point, I would assume, even if it is a little bit later, at least your nicks and bruises are get a chance to heal up. So it's better, in my opinion. A bye week is much better to have later in the season than say week 5.
Right? Oh, for sure. I'll take one later than week 5. That's for sure. Week 5, because at the beginning of the season, everything's fresh. Like, you're still excited about everything. Everything still feels, right at the beginning. And then all of a sudden you get to week 8, 9, 10, it's like, all right, I'm a little tired. I need a break. So, yeah, I'll definitely take it later in the season than at the beginning.
All right. Well, basketball is back. BetOnline remains your number 1 source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, game trends at BetOnline. As your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. The Indianapolis Colts have a game this weekend on a Saturday. What do you think about these Saturday games there, Jerraud?
Well, as a fan, I like it. It gives you more to watch on TV, give you more reason to go have a drink with some friends or, go out to do certain things. So to know you got NFL on Saturday and Sunday, I like it. I like it as a fan. As a player, it kind of feels weird. You haven't done it since college. It feels like a college type mode, so yeah, I bet as a player it feels kind of weird. You're not used to traveling on a Friday and, things like that. So, but as a fan, I love it.
So the Colts are going to be having like 4 straight games of national broadcast games, right? This is the next in that line. And with how they performed last time on a nationally broadcast game, is this an opportunity for them to kind of make up for that god awful fourth quarter against the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, you love the primetime games or the national televised games because it gives more eyes on you that can watch you, and then when there's more eyes watching you, you just never know who might be watching. People from other teams, scouts, GMs, you just never know. So as a player, you always look at it as an opportunity to show the world what you can do as a player, and then as a team, you want that opportunity again to kind of show the world that you have improved and you're better than that last showing. So, I know everybody's kind of, hanging their hat or not hanging their hat, remembering that fourth quarter debacle that happened with the Cowboys. So I'm pretty sure the guys are eager to, get to this Saturday and get that out of people's mind a little bit.
Absolutely. And the Indianapolis Colts, coming off their bye week, Minnesota obviously just losing to the Lions. And when we're looking at the health of teams right now, we was talking about this before we got started. Garrett Bradbury, their center, Christian Darrisaw, their left tackle, Jordan Hicks, Harrison Smith, they're all dealing with injuries. With the Indianapolis Colts coming off a bye week, looking a lot fresher than what they have. um, what does that bring? Is it really that important, or is it more of a, in all honesty, just the next man up and just deal with it?
Yeah, that's what it is, because you can't make any excuses at the end of the day. So you're just dealing with whatever you got to deal with. If that's the cards that was dealt, you're just taking it and you're running with it. For the Colts, I mean, you kind of look at the bottom where they can kind of clean some things up. This is the first opportunity that Jeff really gets some time to really work hands on and do some things that he might not have had a chance to do the past few weeks, just because things just been on a roll, and you got to continue to just go with the flow of things. So when things slow down, such as a bye week, gives you time to really focus on certain things that you feel as a team you need to get better at, whether that's the O-line, secondary play, or wide receiver play, whatever the case may be. So you hope to see rejuvenated or different product coming out the bye from the coach standpoint. But at that same token, from the Viking standpoint, they've been in a groove. You coming off a bad loss, which of course it happens in the NFL. Everybody can have a bad loss, but when you're playing week after week after week, you're still in the routine of things. Things that have not slowed down. Sometimes a bye can, like a hot team, let's just say Philly, for instance, they're on fire right now, and let's say they get in the playoffs and they get that first round bye. That can kind of stop that momentum a little bit that you've been playing with, so sometimes the bye can mess teams up. But in the case of the Colts, I think we kind of needed the bye to kind of clean up some things and get better at some things, rather than the Vikings. It's just the next week for them.
Absolutely. No. The quarterback just been named. I think it was yesterday or today. I think it was. I'm not 100% sure. Saturday said that Ryan would be starting again, even though, the turnovers that he had. A lot of people think that maybe, they should go back and replace him after the game he had against the Cowboys. But I mean, come on. You just talked about you got a week to work things out, figure stuff out, kind of refresh yourself, your mind, your memory. And let's be honest here, the Colts mathematically still have a shot to make the playoffs.
They do. They do. And you need the best of the best at every position that you can get there. So right now, if they collectively as a group think that Matt gives us the best opportunity to win, you got to go with it, no matter if he's turning the ball over or not. If you don't feel like the other guys can do any better, then there's no point of even playing the other guys. And especially when you're talking about the investment money-wise that you gave Matt. You're trying to get your money's worth from an owner standpoint as well. And everybody knows. I mean, Matt's a professional. I mean, he knows what he needs to do to clean some things up. And hopefully, the start that we had, versus the Colts was a sign of progress in my standpoint. Start fast. We threw the ball down the field, did some things that we haven't done all year, or some things that we haven't seen all year. So maybe in this bye week, we was able to put some things together and sure up some things to where when we going into this week, we kind of know exactly how we want to attack this thing. But like you said, I mean, Matt knows he has to protect the ball. That's been an issue for us the whole dang season. So he got to get better at that if we're going to even have a chance to win.
Absolutely. And we need to start seeing less turnovers, less personal mistakes, penalties and things of that nature.
Yep.
But I mean, we've had a bye week, guys. They will get through that. In my opinion, I think the next 4 games are more winnable for the Colts, like winnable wise, when it comes to the teams we're facing, as opposed to the last few weeks. Especially, we just got done facing the Cowboys and we was facing the Eagles, and those are 2, really hot teams right now. I think that the Minnesota Vikings is a beatable team if you look at their personnel, especially with the guys that might be injured. This is a defense that gives up 400 yards a game.
Yeah, that's
Oh
a
my
lot.
goodness. And if you can't, the thing about the Colts is if you can't get pressure on Matt Ryan is able to pick you apart and take advantage of that. They do have Zadarius Smith over there for Minnesota, but the next closest guy was sack-wise is 3 sacks. So let's, you double down on Zadarius maybe. I think the Colts have a real shot here.
Yeah, I think you definitely got to keep your eyes on Zadarius Z and make sure that he can't impact the game. And if you do that and Matt has some time to sit in the pocket and dissect things, he'll definitely do some things. Now, you got to, think about, Harrison Smith. I don't know if he's going to be up or down, but he's banged up. And, you got Patrick Peterson over there that's having a good year as well. So you still got some guys in the secondary you're going to have to, make sure that you watch out for. But like you said, if we get some protection to where Matt can kind of sit in that pocket and dissect some things, I mean, I like our chances. I like, I like where our receivers are heading to as far as what they showed last week and, catching some of the downfield passes and things like that. And I think Matt will have his opportunity to take some shots.
Absolutely. I think so as well. And then our defense outside of the fourth quarter last week has played phenomenal football all year long. And they're going to need to do it again because this Vikings offense is loaded
from top to bottom. You got Kirk Cousins, and he's been, pretty much consistent, every year. He's going to put up numbers. That's what Kirk Cousins do. And then you got Dalvin Cook, and then you got Justin Jefferson and Thielen and, and all these guys. So it's going to be a good matchup for the defense, which I think we can match up well with them. Like you said, I know we had a bad fourth quarter versus the Cowboys. It happens, but they've been playing great ball all year. You just get back to doing what you do. And that's I think that's going to be the key to the victory if we're able to win this game. If we can slow down that passing game, even at the slightest, if we can slow it down and maybe force a turnover or two, because Kirk Cousins is known for giving guys opportunities to, get some turnovers or interceptions as well. I think that would put us in more of a better position to win that game, especially if we can get Jonathan Taylor back running how he's been running.
Absolutely. I think the key to this game is, in my opinion, I mean, we've already talked about, you can't turn the football over, shoot yourself in the foot, that kind of stuff. But the individual player on player matchups, I think is going to be huge because, who's Patrick Peterson's going to be covering in this game, right?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, on the flip side, we got to know who's Gilly, who's Gilly covering in this game, because you got 2 really good receivers out there.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope Gilly follows Justin everywhere he goes, just off of the matchup alone. I think last week Gilly might have followed Gallup a little bit, just so you have more of an opportunity to try to double 88 for the Cowboys. But I think this week, even in the loss versus the Lions with the Vikings, Justin Jefferson goes for over 200 yards, I think. So, if we got to triple cover the guy, triple cover him. We just can't let their best players get off. And that's simple as said. Do whatever you got to do to take their best players out of the game and make somebody else beat you. And if that happened, you rather live with that than looking, at the stats at the end of the game with the loss and the best players that they have was the ones that impacted the game.
Absolutely, and we was talking about earlier about MVPs for this year. Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, is he's one of those guys that I think non-quarterbacks right now.
Best wide receiver in the league?
Yep. I think right now.
No, I'm not arguing.
Right now, that man, he's got, would you say he's got the best catch of the year so far?
I think he's had a couple good ones that can go up for the catch of the year. But he's having a phenomenal start to his career. I think, what's this, year 3 or year 2? This year 3. Year 3 for him, and I think he passed Randy Moss for most yards in their first 3 seasons. I think he passed Randy Moss and Jerry Rice for most yards in the first 3 seasons of a career. So it's something like that. But the guy, just to think that him, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow and all those guys was on the same team it's just crazy to even think about.
He's got 1,500 yards receiving right now.
And with what, 4 games left?
Right. What kind of crazy stuff is that?
So he's definitely going to eclipse the 2,000 mark, right?
Oh
he has to.
That is
he has to be up for MVP. You're right. He has to be up for MVP. Like, he has to be up for MVP. How many touchdowns?
Not as many. I will say that.
Okay.
He's got 6 touchdowns.
He gets double-digit touchdowns these past 4 games with over 2,000 yards receiving. He had, like, that might not happen ever again. Or has it happened? I don't think that's happened.
I don't know. I know that Marvin has had really good years back to back to back, but I don't think he's never had a 2,000-yard receiving season.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think it's only been a couple guys maybe 1 or 2 guys that done that.
And every year he averages over 15 yards of reception for the season.
And that's big. People don't understand how big that is. That's huge.
Oh my goodness.
That's almost an explosive play per catch.
Right? Nuts. Oh my goodness. And then, of course, Adam Thielen was the dude before he came, and he's still playing well.
He's playing well, and people don't even talk about him. People haven't mentioned Adam Thielen's name all year, and and everybody knows how good Adam Thielen is. So it's just wild to kind of see Justin Jefferson's success that he's having, that it kind of blocks out everybody else's success on that team.
How does the defense play against Dalvin Cook? Is this a game where you have a spy on Cook the whole time?
I mean, he's another one of those players that every time the ball's in his hand, he can take it the distance, whether he's catching it out of the backfield or running through the A gap. He's one of my favorite players in the league, just his style of running, man. I've always liked Dalvin Cook, even from his college days, but I mean, you got to rely on some type of scheme to show him, because you can't just put 8 in the box because it's going to leave you, outside one-on-one unless you just trust your matchups one-on-one, which Gilly has done that in the past. Gilly has guarded number 1 receivers with no help in the past. That's why we've always considered him a lockdown corner. But it's a risky move to do when you're talking about a guy with 1,500 yards with 4 games left. So I think you're going to have to pick and choose, kind of know when they're running the ball, when they're not. Rely on the analytics, rely on the data that you've gotten all week. And that's going to be the big deal with the DC and the OC is when we kind of can know when they're running the ball, and the OC trying to figure it out.
Absolutely. Now, if Christian Darrisaw, the first round pick from 21, their left tackle, if he does not play this game, Yannick Ngakoue has to have a good game. If he has a good game, then the Colts, I think, could play a lot of zone at that point because of the pressure and not allow the receivers to get in, the soft spots of the defense. Because isn't that the best way to stop a running back like Cook is running a zone?
That's the best way to stop a passing game as well. If we can get pressure, period. If we can just cause havoc on Kirk Cousins, period, whether he's handing the ball off or whether it's play action, whatever the case may be, that's how you stop those things. Whenever you're forcing a guy to get rid of the ball quick, you ain't got to worry about if Justin Jefferson is catching a ball 15 yards down the field, because he don't got time to run that to 15 yards. And like you said, stopping the run game, if we can win on the outside as far as our edge rushers and make the ball stay in between the tackles, that's gonna give us a huge advantage, because everybody knows how fast Dalvin Cook is, and if he gets on the edge by any means, it's only so many people that can tackle him. So you're gonna have to try your best to try to keep him in between the tackles.
Yannick Ngakoue is on pace to possibly have his best year as a pass rusher. He's got 8.5 sacks right now. The most sacks he's had in a season is 12 back in 2017. Tell me a little bit about what you think of what you've seen from him this season.
I think he might have started a little slow. And when I say started slow, I'm just talking, getting sacks and all that. I think he's been playing, good as advertised, since he's been here. He's been a hell of a leader, and what he's been bringing into the locker room and to the team. But it seems like around the midway point, he hit his stride a little bit, or just getting pressure and starting to get sacks and making plays. But I think he's definitely worth every penny that we gave him. I mean, as far as just the kind of player that we needed added with the defense on top of the playmakers that we already got. I mean, people got to think, like, we haven't had our best player out there at all this season, but one or two games Maniac played. So, and his presence alone is going to free up other guys, so, for him to be off the field and these guys starting to see the success and starting to, get pressure and do the things that they do, it's only going to make them better going forward until next year and years for on once we get everybody back healthy.
Absolutely. How do the Colts get themselves out of this rut offensively that they've been in this year and consistently been in this year?
Man, I don't care what they do. I think, as far as getting out of a rut, like right now we're at the point, let's just win by any means necessary. I don't care if we rush for negative 50 yards. If we win, it was well worth it, at the end of the day. Like, we're in survival mode right here. We know one loss will probably eliminate us, from getting in. So right now, I don't care about if, the offense looked better than they did the week before, or if Matt Ryan is throwing interceptions. The only thing I care about now is the end product. And right now it's about winning. So whatever we have to do to stay in the game and stay competitive and keep the game within reach and find ourselves in position to win the game, that's the only thing that matters to me right now. I know it's important for us to progress and get better, and we see that and all that. But at the end of the day, the offense can go out there and light it up and go for 600 yards, and Matt Ryan can throw 6 touchdowns. If we lose, it don't even matter. So whatever we got to do to just find a way to win, that's the only thing that I'm worried about right now.
So this is a 3-0 game. You're good with it as long as we won that game.
I am good with it. I am good with it.
Well, I mean, being a former defensive player, I would say 3-0. It'd be like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I played in a game like that in college. I won
Really?
a game. I won a game 3-2.
Oh my.
Auburn, and it was on primetime TV. Game Auburn, Mississippi State, and rest in peace, Mike Leach, as well. That I brought up, Mississippi State. Rest in peace, Mike Leach. But yeah, 2008, 3-2. Both defenses, was playing like we couldn't even let the other offense get past the 50, or you were going to lose. That's how bad both offenses were that night.
Oh my goodness. Your thoughts on how the rookie Alec Pierce has performed this year?
Kind of a slow start at first, adjusting. I think some people don't realize, once you do a full college season and then right when the season's over, you go right into the draft prep with the training and everything. Then it's the combine, then it's the draft, and then it's mini camp, then it's OTAs, then it's training camp. Like, he's been on a grind the past 2 years straight when you're talking about him starting his last college season and going into this season. So you saw him hit kind of a little wall to where we weren't even talking about Alec Pierce, at one part of the season. And then I think last week was a vote of confidence, and him going forward this week, you just hope to continue to see him just build and, just doing it brick by brick. But what I see from him is you're going to have a hell of a football player once he figure it all out. I mean, he's a big body. He's proven that he can catch the deep ball down the field versus tight coverage and all those things. It's just, when you're talking about certain positions, getting into the NFL, and then you look at our situation where, we don't have the long-term quarterback. Like, the offense has been struggling. The running game hasn't been what we hoped it to be to help out everything else. You're going to look at and start just blaming everybody for not being as good, or he should be doing this or that. I think that you saw the progress from OTAs and preseason and so far this season, that these last 4 games, you just hope to see him continue to build and get better and better, and hopefully the target number that he gets per game continue to go up as he, every chance that he gets to make a play, it seems like he makes it. So hopefully he gets more targets going forward.
One more thing before we get into our predictions. I want to talk about Parris Campbell and how Not only right now, he leads the team in catch percentage, and he's the only wide receiver that has not missed a game all year.
That's big for him.
That's
huge.
huge.
We talked about that at the beginning of the season, and I think it was either me or you. And the one thing that we said was, I know that one thing I remember saying was just like, man, his main thing is just staying healthy. If he's on the field, he can have an effect on the game, and I think he's proven that, like, hey, I'm healthy. I'm playing well. You see the excitement that he plays with. You see the explosive plays when he gets his opportunity, the catches that he's been making and things like that. So if he could continue to stay healthy, man, I like this group going forward. It's a young group, and if they can grow together, it can be a group in the future that can cause some problems for sure.
But the problem, I think the Colts have offensive weapons around the board. I like their tight ends. They're young and
can play. Show that they can play.
Yeah. And then obviously the running back Jonathan Taylor's a stud.
He's young as well.
And our top three receivers, and going back further than the three, but our top three receivers, I feel like what you talked about, all have upside, and they all have different things that they bring to the receiver group. But with Parris Campbell, he's going to have to be re-signed this year. And that's an interesting question, because how much does the Colts offer a guy who, even if he stays healthy the rest of the year, was only able to stay healthy for 1 year during his rookie contract? Because right now, with what he's producing, he's a $10+ million wide receiver a year.
Yeah, and I hope guys get as much as they can get, but when it comes to being re-signed, sometimes it's about your play, but whatever that market says, whatever that market number is for you in the situation, which is going to be a lot of people hold the injuries over him, but just because, he's missed a lot of time over the course of his rookie time. So that'll be one of the things that he'll have to fight against when re-signing. But I definitely think he's earned himself some money this year. It might not be what he could have got if he's been healthy the past 4 years, but I think he's definitely deserved some type of compensation, whether it's from the Colts or another team. He's proved to be, an upcoming player with a ton of potential, to where if you sign him at a good number, you might get, the bang for your buck, lack of term, if that's what it is.
Yeah, I definitely don't want I would love to re-sign him. I don't want him to hit the free market and then see a team like the Titans pick him up.
Get him or Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville and add to those weapons.
Oh my goodness, that'd be awful. Because we've seen firsthand how difficult Parris Campbell's top 10 in the NFL right now in yards of separation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's impressive. Going into the game, 1:00 Saturday against the Vikings. Who you got and why?
Oh, man. So just to throw the nugget out there, one of my best friends is Patrick Peterson. And, he's been excited about this football team and what they've accomplished so far and, their aspirations. And, we haven't had the year that, we've hoped to have. But I'm going to go with my Colts. I'm going to say 28-24 Colts.
I've been all over the place, all over social media, on my own Discord, where I've got hundreds of people on there as well. No one is giving the Colts a shot in this game. And I am going to back you. I think the Indianapolis Colts win this. I think this is about matchups. I think the Colts match up well against this Vikings team, especially offensively. If they're missing certain players offensively, I think we could create problems defensive. We just can't have another fourth quarter like we did 2 weeks ago. Can't have that.
Yeah, you're right.
Again, I think the Colts put some points on the board. We're not going to hold the Vikings back, as you said, the whole game. It's just no possible way, I don't think. I see this as a 35-27 game.
Okay.
I got the Colts having the best game of the year offensively.
If we score 35, we're definitely winning. If we score 30 plus, we're definitely winning. I'll put that out there.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And for Jerraud Powers and myself, as usual, go Colts.
Do you believe?